The hospital's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I sat between my sons' beds, holding their small hands. Tyler, 8, and Mason, 6, lay pale and quiet, connected to monitors that beeped steadily. Just 12 hours ago, they had been perfectly healthy, eating dinner in our kitchen. Now they were fighting mysterious symptoms that had appeared out of nowhere. I'm Sarah Mitchell, a 34-year-old single mom. My ex-husband died in a car accident 3 years ago, leaving me to raise our boys alone. My father remarried last year to Victoria, a seemingly perfect stepmother who always seemed too interested in my children. Mrs. Mitchell. A stern-looking doctor entered, followed by 2 people in business attire. I'm Dr. Reynolds. These are Miss Peters and Mr. Garcia from Child Protective Services. My heart stopped. CPS. I stood up, instinctively moving closer to my boys. We found concerning levels of multiple substances in your son's blood work. Dr. Reynolds continued, his face grave. Substances that shouldn't be in children's systems. What? That's impossible, I protested, looking at my sleeping boys. They only eat what I cook at home or what they get at school. Miss Peters stepped forward, her heels clicking on the linoleum floor. Mrs. Mitchell, where were your children yesterday? Home with me. We had dinner together, like always. Then they started feeling sick around bedtime. And who has access to your home? Your food, Mr. Garcia asked, taking notes. Before I could answer, a familiar voice came from the doorway. I was there yesterday afternoon. My stepmom Victoria stood there in her designer outfit, looking concerned. I dropped off some groceries while Sarah was at work. I'm so worried about the boys. The CPS workers exchanged glances. And you are? Victoria Mitchell, their grandmother. I've been so concerned about Sarah lately. She's been stressed, working too much, maybe not paying enough attention to what the boys eat or do. I stared at her, pieces clicking into place. Victoria had been bringing groceries, offering to cook, showing up unannounced for months now. Always when I was at work, always insisting on helping with the boys' meals. That's not true, I said firmly. My boys are well cared for. I prepare all their meals myself. Except when you don't, Victoria cut in smoothly. Like when you're too tired or working late. I've had to step in so many times. The CPS workers were writing everything down. Dr. Reynolds cleared his throat. The substances we found suggest regular exposure over the past few weeks. Mrs. Mitchell, we'll need to investigate your home. Of course, I said, trying to stay calm. But I'm not leaving my boys. Actually, Miss Peters said, given the circumstances, we'll need to place the children in temporary custody while we investigate. Victoria stepped forward quickly. They can stay with me and their grandfather. We have plenty of room, and I can take time off work to care for them. My mind raced. This wasn't random. The timing, Victoria's presence, her careful words painting me as an overwhelmed mother. It was all too perfect. Then I remembered something that made my heart race. The new nanny cam I'd installed in my kitchen 3 weeks ago. After noticing things moved around when I wasn't home. I'd hidden it in a cookbook holder, its tiny lens capturing everything that happened at my counter and stove. Before any decisions are made, I said carefully, I have security footage of my kitchen. Every meal, every person who enters. For the past 3 weeks. Victoria's perfect composure slipped for just a second. Security footage? Yes, I met her eyes steadily. I installed cameras after noticing some concerning things. I'd like the police to review the footage before any decisions are made about custody. The CPS workers looked at each other again. Mr. Garcia nodded. We'll have the police examine any evidence you have. In the meantime, I interrupted. I'm staying with my sons. You can post an officer outside if you need to, but I'm not leaving them. Victoria's face had lost its concerned grandmother look, replaced by something harder. Sarah, if you're trying to deflect blame. I'm not trying anything, I said, pulling out my phone. I'm just interested in the truth. Should we call the police now to check the footage, Victoria? I'm sure they'd be very interested in your visits to my kitchen when you thought no one was watching. The room fell silent except for the steady beeping of the monitors. Victoria's hands clenched her designer purse, knuckles white. Dr. Reynolds spoke first. I'll contact the police department. Mrs. Mitchell can stay with her sons, but with an officer present until we sort this out. Victoria backed toward the door. I should call my husband, let him know what's happening. You should stay right here, I said firmly, already dialing the police. I think we all need to see what's on that footage. As I watched Victoria's composed facade crumble, I thought about all the times she'd insisted on helping with meals, all the comments about me being too busy to properly care for my boys. She thought she had the perfect plan to take my children. But she hadn't counted on a mother's instincts or a well-placed camera. Detective Lisa Morgan sat in my son's hospital room, reviewing the footage on her laptop. The nanny cam had captured everything in crystal clear detail. Victoria entering my kitchen multiple times when I was at work, adding unknown substances to food in the fridge, measuring liquids into the boys' favorite juice containers. Mrs. Mitchell, Detective Morgan looked up, her expression grim. This is quite damning evidence. We've taken Mrs. Victoria Mitchell into custody and obtained a warrant to search her home. Tyler stirred in his bed, and I rushed to his side. The doctors had confirmed both boys would recover fully, but seeing them so weak still terrified me. Mom? Tyler's voice was scratchy. Can we go home? Soon, baby, I promise, smoothing his hair. We just need to make sure you and Mason are all better first. The CPS workers who had been ready to take my children hours ago now looked embarrassed. Miss Peters approached hesitantly. Mrs. Mitchell, we apologize for jumping to conclusions. We'll be investigating how Victoria Mitchell managed to manipulate this situation. She's been planning this for months, I said, thinking back. All those comments about me working too much, offering to watch the boys, bringing food. She was setting the stage to make me look negligent. Detective Morgan nodded. We found a journal in her car. She's been documenting everything, building a case to petition for custody. The substances she used were carefully chosen to make the boys sick without causing permanent damage. My father arrived shortly after, looking devastated. Sarah, I had no idea. She told me she was helping you, that you needed support. It's not your fault, Dad, I said, though part of me wanted to scream about how he'd never listened when I said Victoria was overstepping. She fooled everyone. The search of Victoria's house revealed more than we expected. She had a whole room dedicated to her plan. Documents about custody laws, research on untraceable substances, even photos of my boys taken without my knowledge. She'd been stalking us, learning our routines, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Mason woke up crying that evening, confused and scared. Where's Grandma Vicky? She said she'd make us special pancakes. My heart broke. Grandma Vicky did something very bad, sweetheart. She made you and Tyler sick. But why? His little face scrunched up in confusion. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that the woman who bought them toys and made them special treats had been slowly poisoning them to steal them away? The hospital ran more tests, documenting everything for the prosecution. Detective Morgan kept me updated as they built their case. Victoria had used a combination of substances that would cause concerning symptoms without raising immediate red flags, until she deliberately increased the dose that final day. She was playing a long game, Detective Morgan explained. Small doses to create a pattern, then a bigger dose to trigger intervention. She had character witnesses lined up, documentation of every time she'd helped with the boys. She even had a child psychologist ready to testify about parental neglect. My father struggled with guilt, spending hours by the boys' hospital beds. I brought her into our lives, he kept saying. I gave her access to my grandchildren. The hospital staff became our temporary family, bringing the boys' games and extra pudding cups. One nurse even set up a movie screen so they could watch their favorite superhero films. When the toxicology reports came back, they confirmed what the footage suggested. Victoria had been using a combination of substances that would create symptoms similar to food poisoning or stomach flu. Nothing lethal, but enough to raise serious concerns when discovered by medical professionals. The premeditation is staggering, my lawyer said as we reviewed the case. She created a paper trail of concern for months before implementing her plan. If you hadn't installed that camera, I couldn't even think about what might have happened. Instead, I focused on my boys, watching them grow stronger each day, their color returning, their spirits lifting. 5 days after admission, Dr. Reynolds gave us the all-clear to go home. Their systems are clean now, he assured me. But you'll need to follow up with their pediatrician next week. As I packed up their things, Tyler tugged at my sleeve. Mom, is Grandma Vicky going to jail? I knelt down to his level. Yes, honey. She did something very wrong, and she has to face the consequences. Like when I broke Mason's tablet and had to give him mine. Despite everything, I smiled. Something like that, but much more serious. Loading the boys into the car, I caught sight of my father standing awkwardly by his vehicle. "We'd like to come home with you," he said softly. "If that's okay. I need to make this right." Looking at my sons in the rearview mirror, I nodded. We had all been victims of Victoria's manipulation. Now we needed to heal, together. 3 months after the hospital incident, I sat in a courtroom watching Victoria's sentencing. She pleaded guilty to attempted custodial interference, child endangerment, and several other charges after her lawyer saw the overwhelming evidence against her. The boys were at school, safely away from this final chapter of our nightmare. Their recovery had been complete, but the emotional scars were still healing. Mason still wouldn't drink apple juice, his favorite before Victoria had tainted it. Tyler had become suspicious of any food he didn't see me prepare myself. "Your Honor," the prosecutor addressed the court, "the defendant engaged in a calculated long-term plan to poison 2 young children for the purpose of gaining custody. The premeditation and psychological manipulation demonstrate a level of malice that demands severe consequences." Victoria sat at the defendant's table, her designer clothes replaced by prison garb, her carefully maintained appearance now showing cracks. She didn't look at me as the judge reviewed the evidence one final time. "Mrs. Victoria Mitchell," the judge's voice was sharp with contained anger, "your actions represent one of the most disturbing cases of calculated child endangerment I've seen in my 20 years on the bench. You didn't just poison these children physically, you attempted to poison their relationship with their mother." My father, sitting beside me, gripped my hand as the judge continued. "I sentence you to 15 years in state prison with no possibility of parole for 12 years. Additionally, you will have no contact with Sarah Mitchell or her children for life. And upon release, you will be prohibited from being within 1,000 feet of any child care facility or school." Victoria finally broke her silence. "I was trying to save those boys. Sarah works too much. She—" "Enough," the judge cut her off. "Officers, please remove the defendant." As they led Victoria away, she turned to look at me one last time. The mask of caring grandmother was gone, replaced by raw hatred. I met her gaze steadily, refusing to flinch. She had no power over us anymore. Outside the courthouse, my father struggled to speak. "Sarah, I know sorry isn't enough." "Dad," I interrupted, "we need to pick up the boys from school. They're expecting pancakes today." He understood what I was offering. A chance to move forward, to be part of the healing process. Every Tuesday and Thursday, he now came over to help make dinner, slowly rebuilding trust with all of us. The boys' therapy was helping. Dr. Martinez, their child psychologist, had found ways to help them process the betrayal without destroying their ability to trust. She worked with us all, teaching me how to address their fears and my father how to rebuild his relationship with his grandchildren. "Remember," she told us, "children are remarkably resilient. They need to see that the adults in their lives can protect them, but also that it's okay to trust again." We developed new routines. The boys helped me cook, turning meal preparation into family time rather than a source of anxiety. We started a small garden, growing our own vegetables. Something about watching food grow from seed helped restore their confidence in what they ate. The nanny cam stayed, but now it captured happier moments. The boys doing homework at the kitchen counter, Dad teaching them to make his famous chocolate chip cookies, all of us having impromptu dance parties while making dinner. One evening, as I was tucking the boys into bed, Mason asked, "Mom, are you sure the bad food is all gone?" I sat on the edge of his bed. "Yes, sweetheart, and remember what Dr. Martinez said. We're stronger now because we know how to keep each other safe." Tyler, listening from his bed, added, like superheroes, "We have special powers now. We can see bad guys coming." Their resilience amazed me. Where I saw trauma, they found strength. Where I feared lasting damage, they found lessons about protection and trust. A year after Victoria's sentencing, we received news that she tried to appeal her conviction. The appeal was denied. The security footage, combined with her detailed journals and the medical evidence, had created an airtight case. "You know," my father said one evening as we watched the boys playing in the backyard, "I keep thinking about all the signs I missed. The way she always undermined you, how she tried to take over with the boys. Dad, we all miss things. What matters is what we do now." He nodded, watching his grandsons chase each other with water guns. "They're happy again," he observed. "Really happy." And they were. The fear had faded from their eyes, replaced by the natural joy of childhood. They still had moments of anxiety about food or new people, but they were healing, growing, learning to trust their instincts while staying open to love. As I watched my family, broken but rebuilt stronger, I realized that Victoria's attempt to destroy us had failed in every way. Instead of tearing us apart, she taught us the importance of protecting each other, of building trust on truth rather than appearance. The kitchen that had once been her weapon against us was now the heart of our home again, filled with laughter, love, and the smell of homemade cookies. We hadn't just survived, we had thrived.